Hello, my loves. How are we going? My second live for today, but I was just recording some content for TikTok and I was like, I'm going to speak about this in depth because I think it's important. Something that I see that is spoken about a lot in the mindset, personal development, personal growth industry, and I've been working in this industry with my business for the past 5 years, is the the thought or the motive that you can kind of cover up who you once were instead of actually getting to the root of it. And I want you to firstly remember that you are the creator of your reality. You get to make a change at any time. You get to be who you want to be at any point in time. And I think that's such a magical thing. I think what most people don't realize is that every day they can wake up and they can choose differently. And I say this with love, I say this with empathy, because there was a period in my life where I would wake up and I didn't think I had a choice. I would blame my parents, the economy, the government, my boss at the time. I would blame the guy that I was seeing at the time, my friends, anyone and anything, because I wanted to outsource the blame. I wanted to outsource the way that I was feeling. I wanted to stay in a victim mentality because it was so much easier. It's so much easier to stay in a victim mentality because it's comfortable. It also reinforces the beliefs that we currently have. And so and that's confirmation bias. When you are reaffirming the beliefs you currently have through blame and through other people and the way you perceive the world, you kind of get an ego hit. It kind of feels really good because it's like, see, I told you. It's like this self-fulfilling prophecy. But what I learned, and I learned probably the hard way, and it took me a lot longer than it should have, is, and everything's a journey, but you absolutely get a choice in who you are and the way that you perceive yourself and what you think every single day and the actions that you take. And part of my work of what I teach my clients and what I do is to be able to get to the root of who you are, understand yourself at your core, and then dismantle anything that isn't in alignment with who you truly want to be. Dismantle the beliefs, dismantle the behaviors, the patterns, and understand where they come from and why you have picked them up, and why, even though you want some form of success or you want more money or you want to attract a certain relationship, why you have to dismantle these beliefs. And right now, they may be keeping you it's safe. And right now, you may be attracting people and experiences and seeking out information on the internet that confirm everything you're believing. But if you want something bigger and better, which if you're watching this, you probably do, if you want to live an above average life, if you want to live a magical life, if you want to live one that's full of abundance and opportunities and fulfillment and wealthy in every single sense, wealthy, yes, money, but wealthy with relationships, wealthy with connection, wealthy with health, just abundant, then things have got to change. Things have got to change. And before I started my business, I really had to have this pep talk with myself, because a couple of years before I started my business, I was just in this perpetual cycle: blame, 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 and wanting to outsource the way I felt about this myself, wanting to outsource the way that I saw the world, the way that I was perceiving myself in the world. And that's what most people don't understand, is the way that you perceive yourself in the world is going to create everything that you are right now, is going to create everything that you are currently attracting, is going to create your day tomorrow and the day after and the next week. If your life hasn't significantly changed in the past 90 days, it's not pivoting, it's not moving, you're not evolving, something is up with your subconscious identity. And I'm not saying by all means that every 90 days you need to go through this dramatic big quantum leap change and everything does a 180 and it's all different. No, I'm not saying that. But I want you to have some self reflection. This part of the work I do with my clients is getting to know yourself, like self reflect every single day. It doesn't have to be a 2-hour journaling session whatsoever. It can be while you're showering, it can be while you're doing your skincare. Sit and reflect and think, what just happened in the last 24 hours of my life? Is it in alignment with the success that I'm desiring? The success you deserve, by the way, but you need to get out of your own way. Is it in alignment with where I actually truly want to be? Am I choosing where I want to be? Or am I letting life happen? Am I just going with the flow? Now, there's nothing wrong with being, that's feminine energy, being in your fam, going with the flow. But you also need to understand when you're going with the flow and not challenging yourself or not taking risks or not taking opportunities. You need to understand when it's time to do that, to be able to make a change, when it's time to do that, to be able to move into the person that you want to be. An analogy I was speaking about today is like a flower. This is what most people do, right? They want to change who they are. They think about the saying, fake it till you make it, right? Mindset hack. There's some validity in that saying, fake it till you make it, because if you are standing differently, dressing differently, speaking differently, making eye contact differently, of course, there's going to be a change, rather than, being slunched and being unconfident and not looking after your personal hygiene, your personal, of course. However, the next layer to that is you can't put a band-aid over what is subconsciously happening at your core. Remember that 95% of you is run by your subconscious. It's on autopilot. I mean, it would be exhausting to think in detail every day about brushing our teeth. It would be exhausting to think in detail every single day. I drive a manual car, so to think like I did when I first learned when I was 16, that was exhausting for my brain to pick up. Changing gears and the clutch and the brake and looking in your mirrors and seatbelt and this and that, blind spots, it was exhausting. So imagine if we're thinking about that every single day, right? So there are certain things we need to be on autopilot. It makes our life easier. But then most people take that and they put it to every area of their life. And if you're a high achiever and you're success driven, which I know you are because you're watching this and you want more for your life, like you've seen, talking to the people, you've already seen some form of success. You've seen some form of promotion in your job or in your business. You've hit a certain amount of clients or monetary wise. You have a certain amount in your bank account, or, you're doing XYZ, you're ticking it off your bucket list. You've seen success, but now you're wondering, why aren't I getting to that next level? Why aren't I pushing to that next level? Why every single time that I'm about to, something comes up, or I can't do it, or I talk myself out of it? And that's because a lot of the work that's taught is to put a band-aid. It's to fake it, to make it, and cover up our old identity. And so the flower analogy is, if you had a dead flower and you wanted to plant new flowers around it, so you wanted to plant new flowers where that dead flower is, what would you do? You would take out that flower by its root and you would throw it away. And then you would put in the new flower. What most people do, and if we look at that as the dying flower as the old identity, the new flower as the new identity, that's what you should do, sorry. But what most people do is they look at the dead flower, old identity, they get the new flower, new identity, and they get the new flower and they plant it right next to the dead flower and hope for the best. And yeah, for a little while, it's still growing, it's still flourishing, the other flower's dying. But then after a while, what starts to happen is their roots get intertwined, and then the new flower starts to die. And the new flower eventually is like the old flower, it's dead. And this is what I see with a lot of people, is they intertwine their old and new identity and they keep operating. And then I see high achieving women that I work with push harder, grind more, do more, add more, consume more instead of integrate. And then before you know it, they're burnt out, or they're overwhelmed, or they become disconnected. They don't know what they value in life. They don't know what they're actually working towards. And then they start the cycle again. They start and they peel back down, and it's like, okay, let's start again. I'm ready again. And it just becomes this hamster wheel. Stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. That's where I see so many high achievers, the stop, start hamster wheel. So instead, what you need to do for that flower, you need to take it out first, buy the roots, get rid of it, and then you can plant the new flower. That's what you need to be doing. And so when we look at this in a mindset way, is understanding, and an identity in a subconscious way is looking at all that old programming, looking at the way that we perceive ourselves, but getting a level deeper, understanding why we perceive ourselves in the way that we do, understanding why we behave in the way that we do, getting curious, not shaming ourselves, not judging ourselves. We're getting super, super curious in who we are and what we are doing. And when we do that, we can then start to dismantle those beliefs. we can then start to neutralize these beliefs. Something that I teach my clients is neutralizing your belief system. And when you start to neutralize your belief system, then you can start to put in a brand new program. You can start to instill new behaviors, new patterns. And before you know it, your subconscious, your body, your mind, this is about integration. This is part of my woman mastery methodology. This is phase 2. And phase 3 is all about regulating to a new capacity. So being able to feel safe to welcome the new change and not reverting back, not self-sabotaging, not procrastinating, all of that. But that's really what you want to look at. If you are in a place right now where you have seen success and you are doing the things, but you want that next level of success, and you are trying to put in the work, you are trying to do what you can, but you're just not reaching it, I want you to just understand yourself, get to know yourself better, self reflect. Why do I act in the way I do? Why am I so afraid of what that person has to say? Why am I so afraid of getting the success that I want? Like, what scares me? Is it the responsibility? Is it paying more tax? Is it having to network more? Is it having to do this, do that? Like, what is it? Why am I afraid of failure? What do I believe is going to happen? Where did this come from? This is a whole process. I'm teaching all of this in my new program, 4-week program, Identity Evolution, and all the details in the show notes below. But we go into deep into a process I call the emotional matrix. So you actually have to understand, you can't just say, yeah, I have a fear of judgment. You actually have to understand where that fear of judgment comes from, all that fear, insert fear, and how it's was a past memory and now it's a future imagination. We dive in deep into this, and how you can use that to change the way you see yourself and your self concept and the way that you act and the way that you think, and having control over your mind. Most people don't have control over their mind. They believe everything that they think instead of witnessing that the thoughts that are in their mind are just constructs that have been created to keep you safe. Your brain neurologically has to fire together neurons to create a concept of yourself. And so, up until this point of you watching this video, it has created a concept of yourself. It has fired those neurons into pathways and that you've accepted because that was your brain's ways, your nervous system's way to survive. But now that you're learning this and now you're aware, it's understanding why you did that to survive and what you were doing now that you get to create. How can you integrate change? How can you integrate a new personality, a new being? There's a great book I love. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. It's by Dr. Maxwell Maltz or Maltz Maxwell. Um, and he studies all of this and, identity. And he was a plastic surgeon. And part of what he says is he would do surgeries on these people and they would change. They would hate the way that they look. And so they would go to him and they would get a nose job or they would get a boob job or they would get a facelift or they would do something to change and alter their physical appearance. And what he found is often within a matter of weeks, sometimes months, they would come back and they would say, "You've done something wrong. It's not right. I don't like the way I look. Like, what have you done?" And what he studied was it was nothing to do with their physical appearance. It's the way that they perceive themselves. It's the way that they see themselves in the world. So they could have changed 100 things about themselves when it comes to plastic surgery, but because deep down in their subconscious, they still see themselves as not worthy of success, not worthy of love, not worthy of money, someone who doesn't lose weight, someone who doesn't gain followers, someone who doesn't own a house, someone who doesn't have wealth, because they in at their core still believed that. That's how they operated. And so this is why the superficial, fake it like you make it works to a degree, but doing superficial things like trying to affirm differently or trying to just do a different makeup routine, it won't work unless you're getting to the core. But remember that you have this power. You have this power to change who you are. You have this power to see yourself differently. You have this power to wake up today or in this moment after that you watch this live to change how you see yourself and the way you speak to yourself. At the start of this year, I was really, really struggling with the fear of judgment. It's something that it's been like an overarching theme for me this year in my own personal journey that I've been working through and understanding. And the way that I would speak to myself I was really, really dimming my light and it wasn't nice. And you become that vibration and you will vibrate on a frequency that's only going to attract what you're saying to yourself and the way you see yourself. So you can look in the mirror every day and say, I am rich, I am beautiful, I'm a millionaire. But if you work away and then that second you putting yourself down, or you start to procrastinate on your dreams, or you self-sabotage, or you call yourself a perfectionist, or you doubt yourself with every decision, or you take weeks to make a decision, what that tells me is subconsciously you're not on board. You're not there. But just know that you do have the power to attract anything and anyone. I promise you. I've been through many, many phases of this where I've had to create a new identity for myself. And like I said, if you want guidance with this, one-on-one guidance in a group capacity, definitely get yourself into identity evolution. It's 4 weeks. We go deep with this. I mentor you, I teach you, I educate you, we workshop together. You get to submit questions, as many questions as you need me to answer around identity, consciousness, self-concept. It's going to be incredible. I'm super excited for it. But just the takeaway from this is knowing that you get to change who you are at any point in time. You get to see yourself differently tomorrow. You get to attract the people that you desire in your life, the relationships that are connected, that are regulated. You get to have the money you desire, or the opportunities. Remember, I should say abundance. Money isn't always just cash in your bank account or cash in your hand. It's abundance. There's been many things that I've wanted that I was like, I need this amount of money. And then it's come to me in a different way. And I never saw that amount of money in my bank account. It just came to me a different way. And it's so much deeper than, and this is coming, I'm very spiritual. I love the energetics, and I meditate, I do the manifestation rituals. So I say this with love, but there's so much more than getting out your journal once every full moon, lighting a candle, burning away a letter, and speaking to the universe, or writing future scripting. Those are avenues to help you stay on track. But until you dismantle and see yourself in a different light and get curious, if you ask any of my clients, one of the biggest things I say is get curious. Get curious on why you are the way you are. And then we can start there. And so you have it inside of you. And if you're listening, if you've been attracted to watch this, whether it's now in the live or whether it's in the replay, I just felt this deep, like I've already gone live today on YouTube, and I just felt this deep push to talk about this, and someone needs to hear this. Because I have definitely been in a place in my life where I was just blaming everything and everyone, and I didn't want to take self-responsibility for the part that I was playing in my own suffering, and that was my own issue. But the moment I did, and the moment I actively, it's an active thing, I got out of bed and I'm thinking, how am I priming myself? How am I seeing myself? What are the thoughts that are actually coming up when I look in the mirror? What are the thoughts that are actually coming up when I'm with a group of people? Before I go live, before I share a container, before I sell, before I post content. And that's where you start, because then that's when you begin to understand who you are. Most people want to do the inner work, but they don't want to understand who they are. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I've noticed this. I say it's crazy because I've noticed this in myself. It's insane. You want to do the inner work. You want to do like a mindset class, or a meditation, or an EFT tapping, or read a book, listen to an audible. But people will refuse. They will do everything but actually get to know who they are. They will do everything but actually get curious on why they react the way they do, why they respond, what's hindering them. All people want to do is, yeah, I'm into personal development. I know I have a fear of judgment. Okay. What does that tell you about yourself? Where did you pick that up? What past memory did that come from? How is that now stemmed into a future imagination? I go into this into identity evolution program. But it's insane, isn't it? That we shy away from getting to know who we are now, but we want to be someone else. We want to step into a new version of ourselves. You have to make peace in order to reprogram yourself. You have to be able to come to terms with who you are at this point in time, because if you were actually the person you wanted to be, you'd be there already. But you need to come to peace. You need to come to terms with who you are. You need to get curious, and then you start dismantling that with love. No judgment. No judgment ever. I say to my clients, no shame, no judgment. There's no space for that. We just want to get curious. We want to love ourselves. And then the good shit happens. And then it's like, what we're programming? It's a game. Life is a game, right? Life is a big game. What programming do you want? Who do you want to be? Oh, but like I can't because my mom or my friend. No, who do you want to be? You picked that up from somewhere that you can't upset your friend or you can't upset your mom. Oh, but like what if I, fail if I launch that product? Okay, failure equals feedback. That's my easiest comeback to failure. To me, you get feedback and then you do the next thing you choose is way better because you've gotten the feedback you learn. Oh, but what if I can't maintain the success? How do you know? You're creating a narrative because someone taught you that, because you picked that up along the way. The success isn't maintainable, or you've picked up success as greedy, or you make fun of people who are successful, and deep down you don't want people to make fun of you. See how and this is why I've created a whole container around this, because I'm so excited to go into this deep. I do this with my one-on-one specifically, my one-on-one mentorships, and I'm like, I want to bring like a smaller container for this to get bulk high achieving women into this to learn all of this, because I love it. I love it with my entire heart. It has changed my life. It is something I use over and over again. The thing with my containers and my teachings and my concepts, it's timeless. I don't do something just because it's a dopamine hit or like it sounds good. I refine it. I teach it. I've been teaching this for a long, long time, and then I open it and I want you to use it at any point in time. So it's a 4-week container. So you don't get to the end of 4 weeks and then you're like, okay, that's it. I'll never use this. No, it's going to be your Bible for the rest of your life. It's the things I use all of the time to neutralize myself, to not feel like I'm swinging on this emotional pendulum. It's so I am able to have moments where I fear the judgment, and then I can actually ride it out and ride through it and change who I am. And I think that's the most beautiful thing. The most beautiful gift that we're given is we're told that we have to be in a box and we have to be a certain way and we have to act and respond a certain way, or this is rude, or you can't do that, or that's going to upset that person, or my mom doesn't like that, my dad doesn't like that, my brother, my friend, what if they say that? They don't like that. You will never ever be happy. You will never ever find your purpose or fulfillment. You will never attract the opportunities that you want to if that's what you live by every single day. And that's what I used to live by. But I promise you, when you do the work, when you commit, fully commit, whether it's with me, whether it's on your own journey, when you fully commit to doing this work and showing up every day, and showing up every day is in a 5-hour journaling session, 1-hour breath work, and all of this stuff, right? Those are modalities you can pick and choose from. But I mean, showing up every day to have conversations with yourself and reflect and go, you know what? Yesterday, I didn't move the needle. I repeated the same cycles. Here's what I'm going to do to move forward to get the success that I desire. So I hope whoever has tuned in live, whoever watches this post the live, this is probably exactly what you needed to hear. It's a reminder. I have struggled with this. I'm 31. I've definitely struggled with my identity and changing it since probably like 15, 16. I've gone through all different phases. I had to fully change my identity when I quit my job, moved to Bali, and started a business. I had to change my identity when my mum passed away when I was 18. I had to change my identity after a breakup with a boyfriend when I was 24. I had to change my identity when I graduated uni with 2 degrees and realized I didn't want to sit in a 9 to 5 cubicle and work there for the rest of my life. I had to change my identity when I got into my current relationship. And this year, I definitely, and it's something I'm going to share exclusively inside the container, the identity shifts that I've had to make solely around fear of judgment this year have been intense. I feel like I've just come out of it. I feel like I'm just like healing, of like a butterfly coming out of the cocoon. Like, okay, I'm integrating. It's integrating. So I've been through this. I feel this. It won't be the last time. And for you, it won't be the last time. But changing your self concept is so much more than affirming, manifesting, like trying to journal, trying to think positive. It's a whole being. It's getting to know yourself. It's getting to really, truly love yourself in all of your lights, who you once were and who you're becoming, and then integrating the new you. That's the most important thing, is you can have an idea of who you want to become, but how do we integrate it? So I hope that whoever is watching this has helped you. You've taken at least one thing away from this. I appreciate you. And if you want to learn more on this, if you want to dive deeper into my concepts and my frameworks, highly recommend jumping into Identity Evolution. The link is in the show notes. I also have a free training, which is Hack Your Subconscious Mind. That's a great place to start as well. And yeah, there's a bunch of other resources. You can come watch more and more of these talks over on Instagram. But I appreciate everyone who's come live, everyone who watches this after the live, and I will speak to you tomorrow. Bye.